of Duty Next is now 1 month away, meaning that in 1 month's time we'll have a reveals of gameplay to the fullest degree that we'll see pre-launch in what is likely the entire beta build. We'll see weapons, maps, modes, even some customization shown off in the wild for the very first time for Modern Warfare 2. All of that, and then add into the information that we'll get Warzone 2, perhaps even gameplay of that. There's no real specifics given for it at that moment, but we'll at least learn about Warzone 2, perhaps see it, but a lot is upcoming this time next month. Then, 1 month from tomorrow, well, you and I will actually start grinding out Modern Warfare 2 with the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer beta launching on the 16th. So, in the meantime, as a sort of build-up, I wanted to start a maybe series of things that you need to know, essentially, to talk about all the confirmed items that we know of so far, and then some. Today, in the spirit of what we've recently learned, I wanted to present to you the maps that we know of, the information surrounding the design intent for those maps for Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, and then perhaps cap it off with a bit of what we can expect to see from other additional leaked items in regards to the maps for Modern Warfare 2. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to any particular thing in Modern Warfare 2? With the next event now 1 month away, what's one thing that you hope to see revealed in either Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer experience or perhaps even in Warzone 2? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below, but if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, do make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 2 as we gear up for the multiplayer reveal, the beta nearly immediately after, and then the launch of the game just over 2 months away at this point. If you'd like to stay on top of all of it, I'd love to have you in the community. For now though, let's examine the maps that we know and are aware of, plus a little of what you can expect to come along the way. So let's start out with the ones that are kind of fresh in our mind, ones that we've officially seen and actually have some merit and weight behind them, ones that actually have footage. Infinity Ward already showcased 2 maps within Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, one first showcased at COD Champs to announce Call of Duty Next, and one randomly dropped last week. So let's start with these. At COD Champs, we ended up learning about the map Marina Grand Prix, a 6v6 map that we can expect to see in the beta for Modern Warfare 2, and as a map set around an F1 circuit with outer lanes with somewhat longer lines of sight, a race actually taking place just off the side of the map, and a play space that looks to be a higher action and higher paced map. Aesthetically speaking, it was pleasing to immediately see color, despite the map being set at night, so it's not as perhaps vibrant or over the top as some may hope for in that broad daylight. But one thing to consider is that it is indeed a stark contrast to the second map we'll discuss here in just a second. Map layout wise though, it's tough to really truly and accurately gauge how the flow and design will be based upon the fly-throughs that we had, because number one, it showcases a lot of just the outside design, but on the other hand, number two, it also doesn't showcase every single location of the map. That said though, Redditor Rob McDuck, a hobbyist in the level design space and a big member of the COD subreddits, he crafted up his own version here based off of what he saw, mocking it up and seeing how it would all flow together, crafting a 3-dimensional model of what he expected the map design to look like. And honestly, trying to piece it all together, it seems like this could indeed check out with the layouts he built. Now, assuming these models are correct, it's kind of your 3-lane map design, but not entirely symmetrical. You end up having your exterior long range, your close quarter center, and some mid range on the other side of the map, but trending towards maybe all types of play styles perhaps, though if you're looking for one specific focus, maybe more so on the rifle and SMG play, something that may be a common theme this year, but we have too little information to tell just yet for the maps overall. But that's Marina Grand Prix, again, a confirmed map for the multiplayer beta of Modern Warfare 2, coming in just a month as of tomorrow. Following that, at a random intel drop this past Thursday at 1:41 p.m. Eastern Time, the first of what I would presume is a few of these, Infinity Ward shared a behind-the-scenes look at how they created some maps for Modern Warfare 2, in which they showed off the first look at the second map we're officially aware of in terms of visible evidence, Farm 18. Now, this particular behind-the-scenes map was interesting because it shared our first look at actual gameplay of Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, albeit not a ton. It was just an operator walking around with an M4, throwing a thermite and firing the weapon a bit, but gameplay no less. Kind of a cheeky thing to throw in there out of nowhere, but with our first glimpse here that I wasn't expecting anything in place of it, I'll absolutely take it. This map, however, was built with the close quarters map set in mind, and from the briefing that myself and other creators had with Infinity Ward back before the reveal of Modern Warfare 2 in June, that seemed to be one of their core inspirations for the maps this year. Fast gameplay, always keeping you in the action, and while we probably won't be seeing maps only built around that size, like not all maps being shipment or shoot house size, your Arklov Peaks, that awkwardly large map for 6v6 but not quite ground war sizing maps, they probably won't be in the mix for the standard 6v6 play. Instead, I'm kind of expecting sizing for things like Shoot House, Condor Hideout, Hackney Yard, and such, those well-paced maps for 6v6. This map in particular actually gave us much more of an in-depth look for the makeup of the map and the build of the play space, with a focal point and design intent of this being a training facility with various levels of obstacles. We see that we have an open street side, we have a tall barrier heavy outside course, we have a 2-story building on one end, and we have a courtyard on the other side of that, all surrounding the center of the map, which is your true training course, which is CQC heavy, your kill house style map inside a shoot house style map, mixed with what seems to be the locale of Grasna Raid to me. Now again, this is a stark contrast in terms of that color palette of Marina Bay Grand Prix, which if you're hoping for every map to be like that, well, you're not necessarily out of luck, because there have been a few leaked images that do showcase some vibrance in other maps, but not every map seems to be as vibrant as Marina Bay Grand Prix, as Farm 18 will indicate. Now the final map that we know of for 100% certainty that has been out there from the leaked images and what we've seen on it is the map of Museum. Now Museum is kind of a bit of a no man's land for information. We know that it exists from leaked images. We also learned about it officially from Infinity Ward back in June in that pre-briefing before Modern Warfare 2 was revealed, but we ended up seeing it actually in a gameplay setting in the menus a couple of weeks back. The LA Rams teamed up with Call of Duty to do a sort of play session here, and we learned about a couple of things. Of course, we saw what the private match lobby looked like. We ended up seeing our first mention officially of DMZ in-game, but in that private match image from the leaked event, that was the map Museum that was showcased, apparently set in a Spanish museum, for those familiar with the events having happened in the past, and it's apparently going to be one of the larger core maps for 6v6 play. Again, not expecting anything in regards to the sizing of like Arklov Peak, but perhaps something like Ania Incursion, the cutoff version of Ania Palace, or perhaps like Azir Cave or Ramaza. Big, but not big enough that you can go a minute or two without seeing people at all, depending on how the map flow and spawns work. So that's what we know of officially, the maps we have pictures and video of, maps that were detailed to us officially from Infinity Ward. That's not the only ones that we know are out there. For the rest, unfortunately, it all comes down to simply information. I personally don't have any images that I can share, at least not without risking any DMCA takedown, because yes, some of the images associated with these maps have leaked, but officially speaking, Infinity Ward detailed a few more maps from our pre-reveal briefing all the way back in June. The main focus of that briefing, of course, was detailing the game, the tech innovations, and some cool pieces of intel, but they also broke down a bit of the multiplayer experience, which was actually a lot more that they'd let us talk about by comparison to other years in the past. And what we learned about wasn't necessarily from the 6v6 map side of things for the sake of expanding this information. They did tell us about those 3 maps we already talked about, but we ended up learning about the dubbed battle maps, what I'm assuming is the rebranding of just Ground War for Modern Warfare 2, but this was detailed from the very basics that these were large and exploratory maps, a lot of land to cover, a lot of land to explore and master. They stated that they learned a lot from Verdansk and the Ground War maps of Modern Warfare 2019, and I would also assume that would then mean the world of Verdansk, which they said these new maps were built from day one with large-scale combat in mind. The only real question to me that they never answered or never really told anybody about is what this would mean for the player count. Large-scale combat to rival or exceed Ground War for Modern Warfare 2 and what we saw in Modern Warfare 2019, or combined arms with a max of 12v12 like in Cold War. There's really no indication publicly nor from leaks which way it would trend, but I'm hoping that it at least matches Ground War. 24v24 and 32v32 was great chaos. I'm just hoping that these maps don't end up like Promenade with single funnel tug-of-war design maps, but more so trend towards like Karst River Quarry, where you could have multiple pockets of engagements going on at one time. Lots of room to work with. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. The maps that we learned about from this pre-briefing were the maps of Said and Sarrif Bay. Said was detailed as intense urban combat with a marriage of core MP and sandbox play. This one being a map that they said was very exploratory and platforming, meaning that there's going to be likely more verticality than what you'd see in the 6v6 maps, but also a lot of ways that you can end up playing and making your own play spaces, not necessarily in a more linear fashion, stuff that you kind of expect to go into matches seeing. Instead, this will give you a little bit more in terms of if you can think it up, you can do it. Sarrif Bay was described as a tourist fishing village, so likely lots of water. This is something they actually specifically detailed, that there would be a lot of water play with it, so I'd expect a fusion of water play as well as land and air vehicles, perhaps with again a little bit more combat along the water line. So those, again, just the big question marks for me come down to how many players will fit in those play spaces, but those are the 5 maps that we know of officially speaking, but obviously we're not only going to get 5 maps, right? We might actually get 5 maps here within the multiplayer beta experience, because it was detailed ambiguously that the Modern Warfare 2 beta is set to feature a robust multiplayer experience going beyond the core 6v6 experience, with a variety of meticulously designed maps of various sizes and an equally impressive set of modes, progression, experiences, and so on and so forth that was detailed in the Call of Duty Next announcement blog. So I'm expecting at least one battle map here, like we saw with one ground war map of Karst River Quarry during the beta of Modern Warfare 2019, but we'll have to wait and see. Outside of that, of course, we have seen other leaked maps that have been in the game files of Warzone Mobile, that build being tethered to Modern Warfare 2 and the Warzone 2 experience. So we ended up seeing the maps of Action Park, Agent Perf, Ancient, Backstab, Cathedral, Climb, Cruise, Davos, Dogtown, Esports Gym, Exhume, Fallout, Favela, Floating Bay, Grand Prix, Kill House, Luxury, Mountain Town, Narcos, Oilfield, Ridge, Royce Test 04, that being just a test map, so likely not actually coming to the game, Runner, Saba, Salvage, Tokyo, Trade, and Yellow Castle. Now, we can end up taking out, of course, Grand Prix. We know that is Grand Prix. I kind of expect Kill House to be Farm 18, simply because it was mentioned that it's kind of like that Shoot House, that Kill House map. So kind of just in that dev name paying homage to Kill House actually being that map. But outside of that, there's still a lot of maps that we have not seen apparently coming. And at launch right now, it's rumored that we'll end up seeing 16 maps at launch. Former COD Pro and now show host and streamer Zuma ended up hearing from pros that ended up playing the multiplayer of Modern Warfare 2 early that there would be 16 maps at launch. So whether or not that holds up, we'll have to wait and see. But quite a lot of maps that we know about, officially and unofficially speaking. So for now, that's kind of where we're at here in regards to the multiplayer play spaces. And that's what we're going to call it. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What would you guys like to learn more about here in terms of detailing officially what we've seen and maybe even unofficially? Weapons, modes, Warzone 2 stuff, whatever the case, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below, and maybe we can turn it into a video here detailing all of that. But also, let me know your thoughts on what map you may be looking forward to the most. Is there anything that really stood out to you? Feel free to drop your thoughts, but if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2, especially as we gear up now for the next event and the reveal next month, the beta shortly to follow, and then the launch just over now 2 months away for Modern Warfare 2. I'd love to have you in the community, so if you'd like to stay on top of it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.